Hi everyone, welcome back, or if you haven't been here before, welcome to the channel for the first time. Today I'm setting my bullet journal up in the theme of Kenya, and I'm investigating what's awesome to see there and some of the interesting facts you may not know, or just exploring really. So join me as we set up the month of August in my bujo. So I'm sure a lot of you agree with me when you think of Kenya, the first thing that comes to my mind is safari. And it's one of the things I've always longed to do, and I hope that one day I get to do a bit of a safari adventure somewhere in Africa. I'd always heard more of South African wildlife kind of safaris to visit, but upon research, Kenya is actually the place to go. After finding out about all of its national parks being really good places to spot the Big Five. Now, the Big Five, I'm sure you've all heard of, but they are the 5 large animals found in Africa that are, in history, really the hardest ones to hunt, which is a little bit sad to think that's why they were known as that. But they are the rhino, the African elephant, the buffalo, the leopard, and the lion. So these 5 animals were considered trophies if they were able to be caught and captured and killed, which is just so terribly sad. I'm so glad that, well, I suppose it happens still, but it is mostly frowned upon to do that now. So these species are all protected now in these national parks, and they are beautiful, and I just wanted to illustrate them, and I knew that I wanted to do a lot of animals in this Kenya setup, so I thought, why not start off running and do all of the 5 animals on the cover page and just go a little bit animal crazy. I'm really glad I did too, because I had so much fun drawing these guys. So if and when I get to Kenya to go on one of these safaris, it's an absolute dream to go on a safari, by the way. I'm sure I've mentioned it before on the channel. The national park that I really want to visit now is called the Masai Mara National Park in Kenya. And it's a place where you can spot all of these 5 animals in the wild. The national park is world renowned for the heavy populations it has of these beautiful animals, and it even is considered one of the 7 natural wonders of Africa and one of the 10 wonders of the world. So it's definitely on the list of places to see for sure, because it just looks amazing. It's also a place to witness the amazing, or the Great Migration, which is where the wildebeest travel from the Serengeti in Tanzania, and they travel upwards to the Masai Mara in Kenya. And on this 800-kilometre journey, they will give birth to a lot more wildebeest, and I'm talking a lot. I think it was like 500,000 calves, and then they'll all try and travel, through the plains and the rivers to get to the Kenya National Park, Masai Mara. So they do this every year, and unfortunately, a lot of the calves actually die on the path. And a lot of the wildebeest in general, because all the animals know that this is happening. So the crocodiles lie and wait in the river for this crossing, for this migration to occur, because they just know they're going to get fed. So it's a pretty awesome thing to look at. I would like to see it. I don't really want to see the crocodiles eating the poor wildebeest, but I think it would be such a spectacle to witness in real life. So that really interested me, and why they do it and why nature sort of tells them to make that big long journey kind of fascinates me. Just a lot of things to see in the national parks and the safaris there. I came across a cool article on the World Wildlife Fund website, and they had a few little facts about these big animals, and I thought I would share some with you because they're just fun to learn things about these animals, I personally think. So I found out that the buffalo's primary predator is the lion itself, but they've actually been witnessed to kill a lion after it has killed a member of their buffalo group. So they're pretty loyal creatures, and they will try to rescue another member of the herd if it's been caught by a lion. So yeah, those horns, they will get you, Mr. Lion. Now, the leopard is usually active at night, so they will be sleeping during the day, which makes them the hardest animal to see of the Big Five, or pretty much the hardest animal in general to see in Africa. So they come out at night, and then they are excellent at climbing trees. So they'll often safeguard their kill in a tree to prevent lions and hyenas from stealing it. They're also really strong swimmers, which I had no idea, and occasionally eat fish and crabs. Now, the African elephants are my favourite, and they communicate across large distances at low frequency that can't be heard by humans, which I had no idea. Their noise that they make from their trunk is massively loud, so that must just be a little bit of fun for us to hear. So we can't actually hear them talking. I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, sadly, the most endangered species out of all of these is the rhino, and it only really survives inside national parks and reserves because of illegal poaching. But what I found funny was that they have really poor vision and will sometimes attack trees and rocks by accident. Poor things. However, their hearing and sense of smell are excellent, so it usually makes up for their poor eyesight. And then lastly, for our king of the jungle, which is a fact I never learnt before, is that his mane generally is darker when they are older. So the darker the mane, the older the lion. So they are a few little facts about our big five, and here they are finished on my cover page spread. Now, I didn't include the name of the month in this yet. I did use watercolor, and I wanted to really inject lots of vibrancy into my Kenya setup. You'll probably notice the crazy nails that I decided to paint on myself. I don't love them. I love a couple of nails, but the rest look a bit funny to me. But I wanted to stick with that really bright, colorful vibe for the whole of this Kenya setup. So I used watercolor in very random rainbow colors all through the background of the illustration, and then just kept the animals black and white for like a little bit of pop of color. And now when I look at it, all I can see is Graham Base illustrated books. Does anyone remember these? I'm going to put a picture on the screen so that you can know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Graham Base did all these awesome animal illustrations in children's books. And the one I'm thinking of was called Animalia, and it actually came out in 1986, which was when I was born. And I don't know why, now that I look at it, it doesn't look exactly like my cover, but I just got real like Animalia vibes from this cover spread. So I wasn't unhappy about that because the book itself is all about African animals, and that is exactly what I was going for. So yeah, to get the title on there, I didn't want to handwrite it on there. I kind of wanted to take ages to cut out every individual letter. I realized that I probably should have used my Cricut. I have a Cricut, and I could have cut it out on paper and then just popped them out, but it was too late. By the time I'd drawn it on there, I didn't want to sort of scan it in and have to go and print it and then Cricut it, cut it. It was a whole lot of stuff. And if I could go back in time, I think I would have just done the Cricut or just written it on there somewhere. But I really had this picture in my mind of having these bold letters that sort of appear part of the safari drawing. And then our girl, who I know you're wondering where she is sitting on one of the letters, and she's trying to spot the big five. So she's taking her camera with her, and she's just secretly taking photos of these beautiful animals. So that's where my mind was at for this. And yes, I don't recommend cutting out every single letter because that really was quite painful. But by the time I'd started, it was too late to turn back. And then just to make them pop off of the page a little bit more, I did outline them all in my gold metallic gel pen, and I think that was nice to just add a little bit of gold on the page to really finalize it. I will say that doing the rainbow watercolor in the background was so freeing and fun. There was one color combination that I keep being drawn to, and it's the one just behind the right side of the elephant, and it starts at like a deep sort of Tuscan orange, goes into a yellow and then into a blue. And those three colors together look so nice. So I am definitely going to do myself a little watercolor picture using those colors only, because I really enjoyed working like that, and it's not something I often do. So yeah, if you want to try rainbow watercolor and see what effects you can create, definitely try something like this. I recommend it. But here's the final cover page finished, and we can move on to the next page, which will be the calendar. So before I turn over, I do like to put a little sheet in between, because sometimes I've had incidents where my gel pen wasn't quite dry or paint wasn't quite dry, and it kind of spoils the image. So by doing this, that just saves your page. And then for the calendar page, I usually like to do the national animal on this page, but because I'd already done the national animal, which is the lion, I'd already done him on the cover page, so I wanted to do another African animal that I adore, and I think it would, in my mind I was like, yes, this is going to look really cool on the calendar page. And luckily, I really am happy with it. It is very easy to achieve this page, so it may look intricate and time consuming, but if you can give it a go and you want to give it a go, I definitely say it's worth a try. So I just mapped out everything with my pencil first, and then using my Tombow Furinasuke, but any black texture will be fine, or black marker is fine. And then you can only colour in the between your pencil marks to get those black stripes. And you don't even need an outline on the outside of the zebra because it's all just based on the silhouette, and the fur becomes the page. And so I ran this stripy pattern all the way around the border, and I used some washi tape so that I can go straight over the edge of the washi tape and not have to worry about making a clean straight edge. And yeah, it was so much fun to just reveal this at the end after doing, a lot. I mean, I probably took about 20 minutes maybe of colouring in. But look at the effect that it does. I think that looked really, really cool. So I was very happy with that. And it's quite simple too, like simple to do, but it also looks quite simple. So I did want to add some colour in on this page. So I've gone with some markers across the top of each day. Definitely prefer the lighter shades like this turquoise. The darker ones are really hard to write on top of. I do need to get a really thin white paint pen, I think, to use. Because in the end I used I think I used a peach paint pen on top of it, and it just didn't show up quite enough. So yeah, stick to the lighter colours, I think, if you're recreating this in your own journal. Now, I've always loved zebras. I think they're incredible looking creatures, and just their pattern is just so striking. Something that I searched though when I was looking up zebras in Kenya, there's a lot of zebras found in Kenya, but one morning someone spotted a zebra foal that was actually polka dot patterned, and it's a really rare find. It's got like a pigment disorder, and it became like a worldwide story of this. It was the only one it's ever been born like that, or at least the only one that we know of. So yeah, there's this really, really cute little polka dotted zebra, which I thought was gorgeous. So that is what I decided to focus on for the calendar spread. Now the calendar, I only use a small amount. I just put birthdays on here or special occasions that I need to remember. And for me, it's also a good place to organize my content. So when my YouTube videos will be going up and what they will be of, and then my Patreon content, Instagram, things like that. So this is what I use this page for, and it makes it a lot easier to then transfer that to the weeklies if I need to. And then finishing off this page, once again with marker rainbow polka dots, very suitable, to label each day of the month. So here's how the calendar spread finished. Turning over now to my next page, which I'm going to work on the gratitude list. So I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's a place where you can write down things you're grateful for, whether it be daily or weekly or monthly. I don't have a set schedule for this. I just kind of do it when I feel in one of those nice moods where I'm really grateful and loving something about life, which does happen more and more often now that I've started doing this, which is a great habit to form. So yeah, whenever I get a nice little feeling and feel grateful for something, I'll write it down in this section here. And on this page, I love to look for a quote that's from the country I'm exploring, or a quote relative to gratitude. This one is actually a Kenyan proverb, which I really liked the sound of, and it's sort of relating to the actual savannah. I feel like the animals go fast and the savannah is far and wide. So I kind of got references to Kenya as well. But the actual words are, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. And I just thought that was really, really sweet. And it's so true. I mean, I actually related it to my children. This was school holidays when I was filming this, and if I want to go to the shops just to get one little thing or just a couple of little things, just one quick visit to the shop, it is definitely worth going alone, because that one quick little thing you're buying turns into like 3 hours of dragging them and saying, come on, it's just this way. And it just drove me nuts. I'm very grateful to be having them back at school now. Love them to death, but yeah, just in school holidays, I definitely feel that I just need some alone time. And then if you want to go far, go together. Like the flip side, be together and learn together and work together, and you will go far. And I'm always trying to push that to the kids. We are a very close-knit family. We live on top of each other because our house is quite small, and I think it just works so much better when you communicate with each other. This is turning into like a rant about like parenting. My apologies, but I do like this Kenyan proverb, and I have decided to write it here. And moving on to the meals spread. So this is my planner where I plan the monthly meals. Having said that, if you watch the channel in the past, I have mentioned that we are simple eaters in this family. So we pretty much follow the same kind of plan for meals every week. So I just write 7 meals down here, and that's pretty much what we end up with the whole month. It might be a little bit of a variation, but nothing major. So that's why I only have 7 boxes here, 1 for each day of the week. Obviously, if you do like cooking and you enjoy having different meals, you would need a much bigger spread for yours, I think. I mean, maybe you'd go the full double spread for a full-on 30-day calendar for your meals. But this is just how I do it. And the illustration that I'm doing here probably looks quite random. This is my attempt at a cave sort of inspiration. So what this came from is there's an amazing restaurant in Kenya called Ali Baba's Cave Restaurant. And I have a feeling that's from Aladdin, isn't it? I'm not sure about that. But yeah, Ali Baba's got a gorgeous cave restaurant where you can look up through the ceiling, an open rock ceiling, and look up to the sky as you eat beneath the stars or the clouds, depending on when you're dining. It is inside an ancient coral cove. It's set in Diani Beach, but all the walls are a pure cave. So there's all these candles that sit in the rock shelves that are around you, and it just looks awesome. Apparently the food is amazing. They do a lot of seafood, and it just looks definitely a spot I would love to have dinner with when I get to Kenya one day. So I wanted to do that instead of the national dish. I will tell you the national dish is nyama choma, which I believe is Swahili for barbecued meat. The other popular dish is called ugali, which is like a polenta style food that I'm guessing you would eat with as alongside the meat. But yeah, these looked delicious, but just not fun to draw. So the other thing that I found was the national fruit is the mango, hence why I've added some mangoes up to the top just to add a little bit of interest to the page. I wasn't loving how this page turned out or looked, so I just kind of kept adding to it, hoping to save it. And you know what? A bit of washi tape always does the trick. I like just adding a pop of washi tape or gold to a spread, and it immediately makes me feel better about it. And that is what this gold zebra striped washi tape did for me. So I added a couple of bits on the candles and down the left-hand side where my writing was like off center. So I tried to hide it, and I think it worked. I feel better about it now. But yeah, so this is how this spread turned out, and we are ready to move on to the next page. And now for the final page of this part 1 setup video. And this is my Goodliness spread. So this is where I track my good habits each day. And I felt like doing one last animal on this page. And it's a big one, the one you would also think of when thinking of Africa. And that is the giraffe. Now, I found this awesome place that is definitely on the bucket list when I get there. It's set in Nairobi, and Nairobi is the largest city and capital of Kenya. And this place is called the Giraffe Manor, and it looks incredible. Apparently, it is one of the most Instagrammed properties in the world. And when I saw the pictures, I absolutely know why. So it's this gorgeous 1930s built manor covered in ivy with all French windows everywhere. And it's set in its own private 12 acreage within a 140 acreage forest. So the giraffes here in these pictures that I'll show and the ones that I'm drawing are actually wild. They're allowed to roam free wherever they go. But then they come up to the windows and eat from your breakfast plate, what seems to be. And so they're kind of used to people, I guess, and they just come straight up for a feed and then wander back into the forest, which I just thought sounded so cool. And now that I think about it, I think I have seen a couple of Instagram reels or something, or photos of these giraffes right at your breakfast doorstep. So this is obviously where it was set. Absolutely unforgettable and definitely on the bucket list. These particular giraffes that come here are actually a subspecies of the northern giraffes, and they are called Rothschild's giraffes. And I think the main difference in their species is that the patterns on them aren't as distinctive and contrasting. They're kind of more muted in the way their pattern forms on their skin. But this particular type of giraffe is actually endangered, and there's not many around. So this manor has been looking after them and conserving the endangered giraffes since the 1970s. So that's nice. And now they're one of the world's most iconic boutique hotels. And so you can have a really nice, luxurious time in this place. Get up close and personal with these gentle giants, and know that some of the fee of you staying here is directly going to benefit them, as they donate some of the cost to conserving these beautiful creatures. So really love that, and like what they're doing, and the other properties they have in Kenya look amazing as well. So yeah, really love this spot, and I thought it would make the ideal thing to do on the Goodliness page. So as you can see, I sectioned off the left-hand side of the page to be my main area, and I used some washi tape to stick down the edges because I'm about to throw on some watercolor just to add more to it. So I did use a fine liner and Pigma Micron to outline everything and give a little bit of detail here and there. I tried to be very loose and sketchy because I do like how that comes across. And then I'm now going to use my watercolors to input some color into this spread. Otherwise it would be pretty bland. Actually, I did use marker on the giraffe pattern because I wanted to get the dots in there. And this was a really quick and easy way of doing it. And that immediately made a difference. And I did consider stopping here, but the watercolor was just nagging at me to be used. So I started with some green. I definitely wanted to color the ivy in all across the surface of this manor because that's really what makes the impact to me. I just adore when ivy travels on a building. I think it just looks gorgeous. So I tried to do this a slightly different way by just doing really loose dots, and I found it worked really good because it kind of gives you that impression of foliage rather than sort of doing a full block flat color. So that's a tip that I would recommend if you're working on any foliage with watercolor. Try and just tap and dab the brush in areas, leaving a little bit of white patches in places. And then what really made a difference as well is using this darker shade on all of the shadows on the left-hand side of things. So that gives it a lot more depth. So the more variation you have in the greens, I think you'll find that it sort of pops out a little bit more. So then you could just leave it here. I think once I had that texture in the foliage, it really just worked. But I wanted to keep going, so I added some blue and some into the sky and some brown into the bricks of the manor itself. A quick couple of facts about giraffes that I found when I was researching, and that is one, did you know that the giraffe is the tallest mammal on Earth? I guess I kind of figured this, but I never really thought about it, but their legs alone are usually taller than most humans. So they are definitely very large, and their long necks only have 7 vertebrae in their necks, which is the same as the bones in our human necks. So that's very interesting. And the other thing that I never would have guessed is that they have a really large heart. It's 11 kilograms, and it's because it has to generate about double the normal blood pressure of us and other mammals in order to get blood to pump up to its brain. So big-hearted, gentle creatures are what I wanted to draw on this Goodliness page. And also a note on the text style that I did. I really love this kind of font. I tried to go for like a tribal sort of font. I don't love how it turned out, weirdly. I think I prefer it in pencil, or maybe just something about it. But yeah, I just wish I'd done different colors or something, because it turns out to be a little bit plain for my liking. But nevertheless, we shall prevail. Now, as I mentioned, this is the final page for this setup. I will do a flip through in a minute, but for now I thought I would let you know the results of both the poll and all the votes on my last video for where we were choosing the country to visit in September. So for September, drum roll please, we are off to Nepal. And I am very excited to look at Nepal. I mean, who am I kidding? I'm excited to look at everywhere, because everywhere has so much inspiration for my art and for my setups here. So I do hope you enjoy coming along on the journey with me to these places. Kenya is obviously not finished. I still have part 2 to finish off next week, and that includes my favorite page, which is the mind map. And I think you're going to like this one, guys. I really do. And I had a lot of fun doing it, so I can't wait to share it with you. But yeah, so if you want to stick around and see all the countries that I visit throughout the year, please consider subscribing, and it is free. And then if you click the notification bell, you'll be told of when my videos go live. So yes, feel free to join me next week to see that one. And for now, here's the flip through of what we completed today for this part 1 August setup. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.